What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to Kimchi Chronicles Live. And another special guest today is Evan Youngblood Williams. So, without further ado,
Hey, so welcome everybody. I'm Evan Youngblood Williams here. It's an honor to be on your show, Kim. Definitely watched one of your interviews, and I noticed that your interview style is like very unique, and you really try to bring the stories out in everyone. And I definitely appreciate you for bringing me on your show today, brother.
thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you as well. So, coming from having that spiritual background and having that very kind of growth mindset and just improving yourself in that spiritual path, you also came across filmmaking and photography as a passion. So I kind of just want to let me know and let the audience know how did that all start? What was that kind of pivoting moment in your early journey to your life?
Well, technically it started when I was little. I've always had a creative mind. I was always envisioning different scenarios and thinking of, oh, how would it be to be like this? What if I would have made this type of song? What if I would have made this type of video, this, that, and the third? But I didn't have the tools back then to really express my creativity as I wanted to. So I just resorted to playing with wrestling toys because I was watching a lot of wrestling at the time, and I would envision these different scenarios in my head, and I would always picture them. And I used to watch a lot of movies when I was little, like Toy Story, Wild Wild West, Men in Black,
Right.
any movie that had Will Smith in it. I pretty much wanted to watch it, and just seeing all him and all those other people express themselves on screen was really hyping me up, especially with me. I was a very hyperactive kid. I will always be very animated and just moving around place to place, just doing random stuff around the house. I was pretty much that kid that was always hype.
On the go, trying stuff out. He's outside, he's playing with the toys, trying to tinker and build kind of things. And
Hmm. Yeah. So, that's technically how I started, but I didn't really start getting access to these different tools until around 2015,
Mhm.
my junior year of high school. Because prior to that, I used to be a basketball player. I played basketball all the way up
Yeah,
from the sixth grade all the way up to the 10th grade. But as time went on, I just wasn't feeling it. Like
right. Yeah.
I originally wanted to quit when I was in the ninth grade, and I was going to. I was like, man, you know what? Fuck this shit. I don't want to play ball no more, because I was just just mentally done with it, and
Mm.
I just sensed that I was doing it to try to make my family proud instead of following what I knew what I wanted to do, which was act and do all
Mm.
this other stuff. But I wound up falling into the peer pressure by way of my old teammates and my mom telling me no, just play. And then even my coaches were back in Stratford High School were telling me nah, man, you got potential, just stay with the team. And so I was like, all right, fuck it, I'm just gonna go play
Yeah.
ball one more season, give it one more go. But it was a very apparent in the 10th grade that I just mentally and emotionally wasn't there at practices anymore. It's
Yeah.
emotionally and mentally, I left the team before I officially got cut. And so I was just going through the motions at practice, doing what I needed to do. And then I would just go home, after doing a practice during the school day and after school practice. So we had two practices in a day. And I was just I'm just so done with this shit, man. I just want to get this shit over with so I can get back to my homework and what I really wanted to do. And so a couple months go by, my sophomore year of high school, and then May comes around, late May, the off season is over. So coaches call me in my office, say, Evan, we need to talk to you. And so I said, okay, because it was just one of them talks to see whether you stay within the athletic program or if you get cut. And I can tell by the looks on their faces and by their energy, they're like, Evan, we appreciate you being here, but we're going to have to let you go from the program. At first, I was like really, really upset. I was distraught. But then after I left that off their office, a light bulb just went off in my head. And I
Hmm.
said, you know what? I can follow my passion now. I can do what I want now because my time is freed up. I ain't got to worry about keeping up with no practice uniforms, no game day uniforms. I ain't got to no practices no more. Like I felt like a free man after that, and so I decided, to enroll in creative writing and broadcast journalism. So fast forward to my junior year of high school, like I said, as soon as I picked up my first camera within the broadcast journalism class and I recorded an interview like we're doing right now, but it was in person. And keep in mind, never did an interview before, never shot a video in my life, never created any content at this point. So we're just doing this mock assignment because we're beginners and, our teachers trained us on how to conduct interviews. Like, you know, you dismantle the equipment by taking the tripod out and assembling the camera and sound equipment while you're having a conversation with them. So I implemented what he said, and then as soon as the mock interview starts, I start asking these very personal questions. I don't know what possessed me to do it. I guess, well, I don't guess. I know it was my intuition that told me to ask her these questions, even though we're not, putting this on the YouTube channel that they had at the time. I just asked her like, what was your family life growing up? Um,
Mm.
what did you experience? Because I just the spiritual side of me or my higher self was guiding me to ask those questions. It wasn't like I was trained yet.
Yeah.
And so I asked her those questions. And then she started really getting into like deep, intricate answers about her childhood. Because I guess for one thing, it wasn't going to be aired on YouTube. Second thing is like, I guess just the energy was just like very complimentary and very, very safe. Because it's like the healer in me wanted to know like what made her the way she was. And so that really sparked my interest in being a content creator and really like using my platform to talk about my own experiences and help other people to get in line with themselves spiritually and to also express the creativity that's been burning to come out of me.
Mm. Interesting. Interesting. And it's crazy because it's quite relatable in my sense because I remember in middle school all the way to high school, I was like, I love basketball. And then around like I'd say around the 11th grade, I was in the final cut for the senior team. And then after a while, I was just kind of like, I didn't even show up. I was like, what the fuck, right? I skipped to go to dance practice because I was just like, okay, I was like breakdancing, b-boying, or basketball. B-boy, basketball. I was like, fuck, I have way more fun dancing, right? So I didn't show up. So my basketball buddy was like, yo, where were you? Like, what the hell, man? I'm like, oh, no, I was just dancing. All right, you can go dance and, dance with your dance partners and stuff like that. So I went into the university, which is where all the breakdancers hang out at, and I just started just going at it because it just felt right. It was just like something I didn't decide to do that, but I was just like, this feels right. I
Yeah.
guess it's like I just feel more belonging. And then from then on, like I'm still dancing till now. Right. So I really like how you share your story because it's a lot of relatability. So coming from the audience that's watching right now, and I know a lot of them are just had an awakening moment during this quarantine. So they had 2-3 months to kind of just reassess where they're at. And I find out a lot of my friends, especially, have opened up and they were like, hey, like I've been running a hamster wheel. I think it's just time to have an adjustment, a career change, maybe a change of hobbies, or just finally pursuing something that's genuinely what they want to do and not what family or friends want to do. So my question is for you, what advice would you give to someone who isn't as motivated as we are right now, or hasn't really found their path, what kind of things would you advise them to do in order to get them started and get that foot on the door, just to kind of like find that right path that they're supposed to be in?
Well, I say that there's no time like the present. Like you just gotta fucking do it, man. You just gotta, take life by the balls and say, I'm gonna do this shit. And just continue to just try stuff out. Fail. Don't not be afraid to fail. You gotta try stuff out. Like I've been releasing digital products, videos on top of videos on top of videos. I've been doing a lot of stuff, just seeing like what sticks and what doesn't. And so, really, what you have to do is just be brave enough to say, I'm just going to do it. Like, I'm going to tell you a quick story, Kim. So,
Okay.
after the fall semester of the 2019-2020 school year is when I officially dropped out of college. I went
Ooh, okay.
to I went to the University of Houston, and but prior to that, like, I graduated high school 3 years ago, and I just did what every other high school graduate did, which is go straight to college because his mama and daddy wants him to. So I've been a good child and applied to Lamar University. Did a whole school year there studying film and theater in the communications department, and I decided to transfer to go back to Houston because that's where a lot of my connections were at in the film industry. Because keep in mind, I work in show business, making films and stuff, and this is when I was like heavily into filmmaking. Not to say that I won't ever make films ever again, but I just kind of pulled back from it because I'm trying to expand my realm a bit by making more digital products. In fact, I just dropped the paperback version of my Fundamentals of Filmmaking Videography book, which is like a prelude to my course. And I have an ebook version
Wow.
now on Amazon. So I've just been like busting ass all week. But
Wow.
but back to my story, man, not to get too off track with your question. I just like transferred to U of H, and then I got into studying um what was it? The Bachelor's of Fine Arts in Photography and Digital Media. So I had an adjacent passion for photography at the time. So I decided to take back with that school because I wanted to study the craft of photography. And keep in mind, I'm mainly self-taught in photography
Mm.
more than video. Video, I'm like even. I'm half self-taught and half self-taught and half
Formal training.
formally trained with
Yeah.
video. Because video, I started off formally trained, but photography, I just used what I learned in video into photography, and I was able to, do it very, very well because I know how to compose a shot and light an image and all that. But not to bore you guys that are watching this with all the technical mumbo jumbo that goes with getting a great image. I just was like, I did 2 semesters, not 2 semesters, 2 school years at U of H, and I was just going through the motions, and it became apparent to me that I needed to be out of school. I need to leave college behind, and I need to go pursue something that makes my soul sing. And I knew I needed to go all in on my business because me splitting my energy between school and my business and my creative work was just too much. And I was low key feeling unmotivated because after doing a whole bunch of papers and studying for quizzes and tests on top of tests on top of tests, I was just too worn out to be working on my business. I was like, you know what, man, I'm gonna just put this to the wayside. I'll work on it later. But like I said, like after my I took my last final in December 2019, I signed out of my dorm contract. I moved everything out and said, fuck it. I'm just gonna live my life right now, work on my business, and see where this takes me. Cause I cannot keep suppressing what my soul is calling me to do. And I say this to every person that's around my age. I'm 22 years old, but
Wow.
if you recently graduated high school and you got a dream of starting a business, do whatever you want to do. And you know, yeah, my family did bitch me out, and I almost got kicked out of the house because I told my mom I said, Mom, I dropped out of school. Like, I just straight up told her. Because the semester before that, or the school year before that, I told my mom, I'm going to drop out of college. So
Mm.
it's not like I didn't forewarn my mom that I was going to do it. I did exactly what I said I was going to do. But yet they're still looking surprised, like, I can't believe this motherfucker just dropped out of college. But at that point, I didn't give a shit anymore
Right.
because it was sucking the soul, life force energy away from me. And I just did what I felt was necessary. It's just like Malcolm X said, by any means necessary. So that's what I did. And I was going to succeed in business by any means necessary. I don't care who I piss off. And I have to tell you this too, guys. If you're around my age and you scared right now, you just got to take life by the balls and look fear in the face and say, you do not run me no more. I'm the captain now. And then you just proceed forward and go zoom, zoom, zoom.
Mm.
So that's what I got to say on that regard. I hope I answered your question, Kim.
Definitely. No, that's really good. Yeah. So I just hope the viewers right now and the people who are going to be watching offline as well, like, take these to note and really apply it. Really consider, just take life by the balls. Just go for it. You won't know if you don't try. So
Mm-hmm.
awesome. So tying back to your filmmaking and photography gig, what was it like when you were just starting out, like trying to just get your skill set up at the same time getting some clients? Like what did that look like to you?
Well, at the time when I was a beginner in video, I was mainly trying to focus on getting myself in short films and stuff like that. And I was just like doing hours upon hours upon hours of research of my own free time during school, after school, and during summer break. I
Wow.
would obsessively every single night just look at filmmaking videos from like D for Darius, Film Riot, Rocket Jump Film School, Cinematography Database, DSLR Guide is another one of my favorite channels that I looked at. What other channel that I look at? Because I'm subscribed to so many I can't even keep count, dude. So many filmmaking channels I
Right.
looked at. Film Courage, which is they interview professional actors and filmmakers, and they're severely underrated. I don't know why they don't have 1 million subs by now. Uh, and also being around my peers in high school that were also trying to do the same thing that I did, like, you know, with my friend Miguel Caviccioni, like he brought me in on one of his school projects at the time when we were seniors in Stratford High School. We He asked me like one weekend, it's like, hey, do you want to help out on set of my short film? I was like, dude, I would be stoked to. I didn't care what crew job he gave me. I wanted to just be on set and see what it was like to make a freaking movie. And
Wow.
so I agreed to it, and I agreed to be a sound guy. And I was just watching him work with his camera and how efficient he was on set, and me learning how to properly position a boom. I don't know if you can see the other arm because of the way it's framed, but I'm trying to keep it tight so everyone can see it. Like
Yeah.
you're dangling this mic on top of the actors and making sure that the sound is clear, but you don't get the mic in the shot. Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. You want to make sure that you don't get that the mic in the
Right.
frame because it's gonna look very unprofessional. But anyways, jokes aside, like just watching him be so efficient and be so effective in how he framed his shots and how he told his story and how he was using these little $1, $7 clamp lights that he found from Home Depot to light up his scene well. So this is another DIY filmmaking tip. If any filmmakers are watching this, you definitely want to use them clamp lights from Home Depot. They work wonders and they're inexpensive. So if you want to get good lighting on the cheap. But yeah, like just after being with him on set, I just liked the way he worked. I liked his work ethic. I liked his storytelling. I liked his attention to detail. And I was just asking him questions like, hey, how did you set up that shot? How did you get that nice, crisp depth of field? How did you get this? How did you get that? I'm just constantly asking this
Absorbing
dude.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just absorbing his wisdom that he gave me. And, you know, honestly, this dude could have charged hundreds of dollars because this dude is talented. And I've seen his work before I've worked on set with him officially. And even though we were both in high school, like, he could have released his own course. I don't know if he has one out now. I don't know why he doesn't have one. But Miguel, if you're watching this, man, drop a course on cinematography at least, because you're the GOAT when it comes to cinematography.
Wow.
I mean, it is what it is, but you know, he was the one that gave me game on the world of filmmaking. And you know, he said, hey man, don't try to create a feature film. Just create you a short film that's between 1 to 7 minutes long. Here's how you compose this shot and stuff like that. So after going on set, man, and I worked with him a couple times after that, but after that first day, it was so special. And I'll never forget that day that he asked a dude like me, a dude that was a complete beginner that haven't made a film a day in his life. He just shot a bunch of videos for the school news to work with him. And I don't take that for granted. Like I'm so humbled that, you know, he invited me to work with him, a novice, you know?
Interesting. So it's crazy how opportunities like that just come, and a lot of people are kind of just have that like door. Some people don't actually take that as surprise. That's really surprising. But you had that opportunity where you actually had someone who was experienced, who had the kind of the genius that you wanted, and you followed through because you wanted to model his successes. And that's very very fortunate of you to come across with. So what happened after that? What were the next steps?
Oh, I got a lot to tell you on that regard, man. You in for a treat.
All right, let's do it.
But so the second project I worked on with him was what was it? Wait, before I get into the project, I want to keep this in order. So at the time I was taking video production 1 class. So, you know, we had this project to where we had to compose these different shots. Like we were learning the different compositional styles. And so I learned a lot from just that. And I learned very quickly because I've already made videos prior to taking that class. Then the next project we worked on was a music video project. So, you know, I think this was after the profile picture was the second project, like I said, the music video project, and we had to choose a song and make a music video according to that. So I decided, since I'm a big fan of Kid Cudi, to make a music video to one of his songs, because his songs is very eerie and atmospheric. And I've always envisioned myself making a video to one of his songs. I'm like, what would it be like to make a music video to one of his songs? So I saw that as yet another opportunity to challenge myself in making a music video to one of his songs. So the song I chose was Maniac from his album Man of the Moon 2. And so Kid Cudi is another person that influenced my filmmaking style. Even though he's primarily known for music, he's also an actor. But I noticed that with his music videos, it's very like atmospheric and eerie and dark and gritty. And so I decided to apply that same concept to that video. And so, you know, we shot at my mom's house, and I called up my buddy Miguel like usual. I was like, hey, do you want to be the DP/camera operator for my project? And he says, yeah, I'll come through. So I was like, yes.
Wow.
Because like his visual style is so good. And as a matter of fact, I'll link it to you in the description below. Both of the short films I mentioned, the profile pictures, and my music video project back from our senior high school. So, you know, we get to set that day, and then like, you know, he brings his camera. His Nikon D5500 DSLR camera, which I like Nikon cameras for their photography, but they also make good videos, you know. But he bought all his camera gear and his lenses, and then here's how I got my idea for shooting close-ups with the telephoto lens. So he bought his telephoto lens, he put it on the camera, and he was using that to film the close-ups. And I noticed that the depth of field was shallow, and the colors were very dark and eerie, and my face, you know, had a lot of shadows on it. And after I looked back at the footage, I was like, oh my God, we are on something special here. So it was just both of our creative minds just working together And so, he filmed the close-ups with that. We filmed a couple takes, and then he does his little magic with his camera. And then after I reviewed all the footage, I was very pleased with what I saw. And then after, we had to go back to school that week and I was editing a music video, my classmates were telling me like, dude, how the hell did you do that? And I was like, hey, gotta make connections.
Trust for sure.
And so like, yeah, and like after that, like I spliced up the video and then I couldn't wait to show my classmates. And then, we did critiques like we usually did. And then they pointed out on things I needed to work on and what they liked about the video. And so like overall, I was very pleased with how the project came out. And I think I did a pretty good job at like creating a music video that's accurately displaying the emotions Cuddy was saying in that song, Maniac. But it definitely was a cool learning experience. And then in film class, I learned about Foley and I learned about ADR and then I learned about color in filmmaking. And then, in between all that time, before I get into the last thing that we did for video production class, me and Miguel called me up again and said, hey, do you want to help me work on my short film called Tap? And I was like, sure, what is it about? And he said it was about like, androids taking over the world or something. It was like a sci-fi film. And then he actually took it a step further by getting professional actors and a stuntman for free.
What?
I'm like, how in the hell a high school kid like you and me were able to get professional actors and a professional stuntman for free? It just blew my mind. I was like, wow, dude, like this guy's got connections. And like he put out casting calls on backstage.com, on Facebook and on Instagram. And that's where I got my strategy for getting actors on my film from. Wow. Was everything that you see from me was because of him. So you can thank Miguel Caviccioni for who I am today on the filmmaking end, because I've learned a lot from that guy. And he's taught me everything that I needed to know. So, we work on a project, right? And it's like one of his most ambitious projects. And even the video production teacher told him, like, Miguel, there is no way you're going to pull this kind of project off in this amount of time. And he said, and I guess the back of his mind, he said, watch me. So, we go to this abandoned location on the first day of shooting, and it's very run down, it's very rugged, and it fits the scene perfectly. And it was a shootout scene, and I observed that how he was getting ingredients to mix the fake blood, and I noticed that he borrowed the equipment from the video production class, because he was in like, I think, video production 2 or 3. And they get access to the really good cameras, like the DSLRs and the stabilizers and stuff. And so I was like, wow, he's bringing the heat with this right here, man. I was excited to be on set. And so, we set everything up, and I was primarily just helping out with, I helped out with sound. I helped out with just a teeny tiny bit on camera. I was hoping to get more time with the camera because I wanted to learn how to shoot with a DSLR so bad. I was like, man, I hope he lets me play with this right here so I can help out. And I wound up doing a little bit of it, but it was just fun time shooting that shootout scene, because like the stunt guy that he hired, for free, he was like bringing out his gear, like his knee pads, the little tarp to where you can fall down safely. And then just observing how a shootout scene was shot, it was like, man, like this is some next level stuff. Like, we're just a couple of high school kids trying to make it in the film industry. And so, he bought the heat. And just the fact that we had access to that kind of equipment on a very low budget, and we're just making a free project using those types of tools, man. Like, I'm so grateful that I came up as a creator in this day and age rather than back in the 90s and the 80s and the 70s, because then it was like hella expensive and you had to go through all of those gatekeepers. But we're so blessed and fortunate now to be able to bypass that. Like with what we're doing now, it's like back then we would have had to go to a TV station
Yeah.
just to get approval, and it would have taken weeks or probably even months, and we probably would have probably got it rejected. But since we have tools like StreamYard and Zoom and Facebook and all these other tools to be able to bypass it, we can just go directly to the people. And so I don't take that for granted. But back to what I was saying to answer your question, um, just after that scene, you know, that was a lot of fun. And then, you know, he also taught me a little trick with the sound too. Like if
Okay.
you want to get crisp sound in the car, or if you need to do on the go like ADR or sound recording or voiceover, there's another trick that I learned from him, is that you record the sound in the car because it deadens the reverb, and then he would have the boom pole and the mic position upwards, and then I would listen to the sound and it sounded very crisp and there was no
Wow.
reverb or anything. So I was like, damn, I'm blown away. And so ever since then, I've implemented that in my practice, like either recording in the closet or say, let's go to the car and record your voiceover lines so we can get good, crisp sound on the go. So that's another
Wow.
filmmaking hack that you can learn,
Interesting.
you know?
Well, I'm gonna try that out.
Definitely.
Wow.
Like, and so like another thing is like we went to this apartment complex that's like a couple blocks down the street from where I live. You know, he was able to get a vacant apartment for free from the landlords, I guess, that ran the place. And I was like, how in the hell? He not only got professional actors, but he also got to film in a vacant apartment for free. So I'm like, how in the heck is he doing this? And so we go to the apartment and we're filming late into the night. I think we filmed from like 6 or 7 o'clock p.m. to about like 12 to 1 o'clock in the morning. And I remember at the back of my mind, like, I got to get back to the house before my mom get off work, because this is when she was working the night shift. So I was kind of worried. I was like, oh, Lord, man, we filming this late in the night and my mom is not home yet. So I was hoping to get back in time. Needless to say, I did, and I was able to like take a shower and get into bed in time, make it look like I've been asleep for a couple of hours when I've been out there on the grind, just working on set. And so like he also got like these lighting fixtures and stuff, these C stands to set up the boom pole, and he set up the lights to lighten up the room a bit because the practicals weren't doing enough. And
Mm.
I know I'm talking a whole lot of filmmaking talk right now, but you know, I'm just telling it to you like it is. Like, so he lit it up and we got the actors in time, and I got to play with the stabilizer for a bit, and I had to move very, very, very slow. While I was holding that heavy stabilizer, I'm holding it like this, and I'm walking it slowly. I was like, don't you give out on me, Arm. Don't you give out. Because I'm trying to give him that smooth little shot.
Yeah.
You know, you make those sacrifices to get that shot. And then the last thing we had to shoot was outside of the apartment complex. And he had this little lighting hack to where he literally took one of his LEDs, held it out like in front of the camera, not to where it could be seen. And I had to hold the camera like this. So I had to squat down a little bit because I'm 6'4" and he's like 5'8", 5'9". And then I had to creep back slowly and to convey the emotion of the actor. And so, like, that's another filmmaking hack, is that if you want to light somebody's face good on a budget, just take you a little cheap LED light, put you like a 50 millimeter lens so that you can brighten up the image and get the f-stop as low as you can. Get that nifty 50 or the 35 millimeter lens. Hold it up close to get that nice crisp close up with like to keep your image sharp, and then the other person holds the light like this, and you have to walk at the same speed together to make the lighting and the shot consistent. So that's another hack.
Wow, that's awesome. So I got a bunch of friends already in my mind who are actually starting into filming and photography. So I definitely got to get them to reach you out pronto.
Yes, because I got an online course, and I got an online course already out about the fundamentals of filmmaking and photography. So not
Mm.
filmmaking and photography, filmmaking and videography. So
Mm.
tell your friends to go pick up that course right now,
Yeah.
so that it's basically a course for busy people. It's filmmaking for busy people.
Ah.
And basically I'm telling them, like, look, don't go to film school, don't go to college. Hell, don't even go scour hours and hours upon hours of YouTube, because it's a lot of fluff out there, and they'll
Yeah.
tell you their personal philosophy instead of telling you how to actually work a damn camera. Like,
Mm.
teach people to work a damn camera. Forget your philosophy, forget all of that shit. Just teach them what they need to know. And so that's what I decided to do with my course, is to cut out all the fluff and give you all the essential information you need to know. So invest in that course and save yourself years upon years in film
Mm.
school and scouring YouTube and making mistakes that I did. I had to learn from the School of Hard Knocks on how to film something properly. And that's how I got to where I am today.
Wow. That's pretty awesome. That actually reminds me, so I live in Alberta, Canada, right? So we live in a province, you live in states, but so in our province, especially in Edmonton, we're actually been getting a lot of a spotlight in terms of our filming slash acting industry. So we had my buddy named Martin, and I actually interviewed him a couple interviews ago, and he's been in a couple Netflix shows for a stunt performance. And he's been linking up with a lot of the local filmmakers in Edmonton, and they actually got on the news several times, and they're just trying to trying to have like some kind of like film acting scene, so that way we can actually start getting the economy going and actually putting I guess Alberta on the map. So because of that, there's like an emergence of like videographers coming out, young guys picking up cameras, like even starting out with like their phones. And this is a great opportunity, considering that I think VR is going to be the next big thing. And in the next 5 years, like video is going to be on demand. It's going to be needed everywhere. So it's a really good industry to be in. So in order to kind of like enrich your knowledge and get the experiences needed, we need to be able to actually promote people to take on courses such as yours to actually start supplementing that practicality in filmmaking, start getting that economy pumping. So I really like that. I really like the door that you have for everyone else, and it's the timing couldn't be any better.
Yeah, it's like I'm passionate about this right here. Like, if money didn't exist, I would still be making films, and I would still
Right.
be making videos, and I would still be making courses, because I'm that passionate about teaching other creators what I know. And like I said, I got inspired by making a videography course, because like I wanted this is the course that I wanted to have, like something that cut it away all the fluff. It's like, yeah, learning about Eisenstein and all these older filmmakers that they teach about in film school, and then they just have an orgasm over like Hitchcock and all the rest of them. Like, I get it. It's cool to reminisce about the past. But what we're trying to figure out is, how the hell do I use this damn camera so I can capture great images? So that's what approach that I took with this course, and the approach that I'm taking with my course that I'm about to start releasing, which
Mm.
is about the fundamentals of photography.
Mm.
So I have another course coming out. So I'm not resting on my laurels, guys. I got more stuff coming. Just so you
Wow.
know. You know what I'm saying? So, and also another defining moment in my film career
Yeah.
was, this was in like Lamar University, when I was like, even deeper into the film industry, where I was learning more about it and stuff like that. And I remember like hearing about this Boomtown Film and Music Festival, and I remember my friend Caitlin Vu was in like group me asking me and this guy named Joseph Brooks, to where it's like, hey, do you guys want to join in this film festival? And I was like, hell freaking yes, because I've always wanted to do a film festival. So I was making videos on Facebook Live and creating my own content for this platform alone. But I wanted to take it in the next level and see what it feels like to actually have a movie be on the silver screen. And so we enroll in it, and we go to the meeting that they have about entering into the competition. And this was like around February of 2018, I suppose, February or March. And then we enter into the competition. We have our team. We actually had to have three people minimum. So it was me, Caitlin and Joseph Brooks. And so we go ahead and we get our team together because we're all talented. She's a talented editor. I'm a talented cinematographer, and he's a talented actor. So it was like a perfect
Wow.
storm. It was a perfect storm of different talents. Like, not that I couldn't act or anything, but I was just being behind the camera a whole lot. And I wanted to learn that skill of cinematography and editing and screenwriting. So, we entered to the competition, and we had this log line called Sam does something that pushes him over the line or something like that. I forgot the log line or the tagline. And then we had to spin this wheel for like which genre we're going to be filming in. And I was hoping we didn't have to do sci-fi or anything with special effects, because I do not know how to do any of that stuff. And so we luckily wound up on the noir genre. I was like, yes. And so
That's
literally this competition, we had 48 hours to shoot, to like write, shoot, and edit a short film. And it had to be like it had to be 4 minutes long and no longer or any shorter than that. If it was a minute longer or even a second longer, you were disqualified. So it was high octane and high pressure. So literally that night, after we got know what we was going to do, me and Joseph Brooks head back to my dorm room at Lamar University. And we're just sitting in there from like 7 o'clock to 2 o'clock in the morning, writing the script and editing and getting it ready. And you can credit him for coming up with the story idea about like, Sam, commits this murder of his lover because he was obsessed with her. And the film is called Obsessed Love. And so I was asking him like, hey man, do you have any ideas for the story? And he said, yeah. And he was writing out a bunch of ideas. And literally, I was asking him every single line and every single action sequence and every single scene heading. I'm like, what do you want me to write right here? What do you want me to write right here? Because he came up with the idea and I was soaking it up from him. Even though he doesn't have much experience in screenwriting, he came up with a dope story idea anyways. So I trusted his judgment. And I was just there, just writing it. I was ghostwriting everything.
Wow.
And so, and then literally, like after he leaves at 2 o'clock in the morning, we have to be up at like 8 or 9 o'clock. So I only got a few hours of sleep, and we hit it again. We go and drive to Jack in the Box, get something to eat, and we're scouting stores and restaurants to shoot in. And then we start shooting around, I think, like 12 noon, 1 o'clock, and we were shooting all the way until like 9 or 10 o'clock at night. And then literally on Sunday was when we did all the editing. So I head to Caitlin's dorm room, and we're sitting in there just plugging away. And then she does her thing in Premiere, because I didn't know how to use Premiere at the time, so I didn't fuck with it. So I just let her do what she does, because she knows the software better than I do. And we were just shifting shots back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. And it was just a tedious process. She was like, what do you think about this? I was like, I think that could work. And then so we were just working together and shifting the shots back and forth. And it was just like, we was under that stress, and it was like we had to submit it by 6 o'clock. So literally around 5, she was just finishing up. I was like, please submit it, because if we're not one of the first 12 teams, our film is not getting shown. So we were on crunch time, bro. Our backs were against the wall.
Holy shit.
And so it was just very high octane, and trying to make a film in 48 hours, dude, is stressful as hell. Like, I wouldn't dare attempt it unless you are a little bit of a masochist and you want to challenge yourselves. Making a film in 48 hours is stressful as hell. But it was all worth it though, because like we were like team number 10, 11, or 12, so it was almost filled up. So I was like, come on, upload it. And so we uploaded it in time, and we were like, woo, let's freaking go, man. Because we were just elated because our film was going to get premiered. And so fast forward to late April of 2018, I go to all the events and stuff. I went to all 3 days. Like I went to, a panel for women's filmmaking. And then when it was time to watch our short films, I was excited to see everyone's short film plus ours, you know, and I was like, damn, this is really surreal. And I also want to tell you a story about how the visualization ties into this. So backtrack all the way to 2015, December 2015, I had dreams
Yeah.
of being a big time actor. And I wanted to do Broadway as well as a part of my acting. And so literally I took a screenshot of the Broadway stage to visualize myself performing on there. And then fast forward 3 years later to 2018, the Jefferson Theater stage looks identical to that photo. I said, wait a minute.
Oh,
I said, wait a minute. I screenshotted this post saying I'm going to perform up here one day. And the stage looks identical to the Broadway stage. And I was like, this is surreal. This was divinely orchestrated. And so, like, we watch everyone's films and, you know, everyone's clapping for each other. And, you know, I remember before the screening happening, I remember one of the judges just walked up to me and said, hey, man, you know, you're a talented filmmaker. And I'm like, huh? Like, why is a judge walking up to me telling me this as like, is there some in the works? Is there some they're not telling us or whatever? And I didn't think none of it. I was just saying thank you like I usually do and just going about my business. And I'm networking with other filmmakers there and talking and chit-chatting with them, giving them my number and all of that. And when it would come time to film, after we watched everybody's films, we were like one of the top 3 teams nominated. And I'm like, damn, I was just happy just to be a part of the film festival for us to be the top 3.
oh yeah.
I'm like, damn. And so we won 3rd place. And, you know, they asked to say who's going to do the speech.
Oh, okay.
And I was like, and then everybody was looking at me like, do the speech, do the speech. I was like, all right, I'll do the speech. I'll get the award. And I said, shout out to my fans on Facebook. Shout out to Mr. and Mrs. Stanley. Shout out to Hannah Hudgens. Shout out to her boyfriend Cedric for, you know, giving me game on filmmaking as well. So Hannah is also another friend of mine who I trust for filmmaking advice when it comes to screenwriting as well, because I would ask her to critique my screenplays because she's a talented writer herself. And she's also, you know, underrated as a cinematographer, I feel like, and an actress, I feel like. But, you know, just with her help as well and learning from those other people who have been, you know, working in film longer than I have, I've just absorbed from what I learned from them and implemented it into my own techniques. So, you know, shouts out to them. And I gave the award speech as if our team won an Oscar or something. Just being in a moment, that's another defining moment of my filmmaking career that I'll never forget.
Wow. Holy shit. I was like feeling that. I was already immersing myself in that situation. Imagine that, like I could just see that where although like yeah, you got 3rd place, but like you guys were probably the loudest ones. Like, yo, you guys you know, you guys won the Oscars or something, you know?
Hey, I was just happy to be there and have that experience.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't about competition. I wasn't
Yeah.
trying to compete with nobody.
Yeah.
I was just trying to showcase, or our team was showcasing our talents, just like all them other kids were. Because we was going up against some real high quality talent. Like this, they weren't no punks when it came to this. Like them people were like really fucking good. And so for us to have that type of accomplishment and get that acknowledgement for our talents was just very elating and was congratulating. And then
That's impressive though.
yeah. And then like one more thing is like being featured on Voyage Houston magazine. That was another defining moment in being interviewed and then having my story featured as one of Houston's most inspiring stories. I was like, damn, man, I never expected this type of recognition from my work because I was just a kid trying to express his creativity. That's
Yeah.
all I was
Yeah.
trying to do was express my authentic self and have my creativity showcased to the world. That's all I wanted to do. And that's still what I do to this day. And it's all about those positive vibrations. And You know, above
Yeah,
all of the
yeah.
filmmaking stuff, spirituality comes first. When you're in alignment with your soul and you do what's right by your soul and you're in tune with the universal laws, you'll get taken care of.
Interesting. You know, I'm gonna have to connect you with Khaled because we had that one interview about NoFap and sex transmutation. So I feel like there's a little correlation in that area in terms of like confidence, self improvement, and spirituality. So we'll definitely like talk about that after this interview because that's another topic that's really engaging and a lot of people would love to get your both your guys' inputs. So
Yeah,
mhm.
most definitely. It's an
Yeah.
honor to be on the show. Like I said, man, I'm highly humbled that that you love, you know, my content that much and that you wanted me on your show.
You're very welcome, Evan. Thank you so much. So, right before we wrap things up, I just kind of want to know like the rough idea of what to expect in your course and like who would be like your ideal student, if that makes sense. So, who would you strongly recommend it, and what should they expect in your course?
Well, first of all, the course is for beginners, but more specifically, I want people who have a hunger to learn photography and want to practice their craft every day. And so you're not just going to be getting just like straight up information and quizzes to do. I'm going to give you exercises to do to make you step out of your comfort zone. And I'll even have a challenge for you at the end of the course for you to do. So don't sleep. Don't get too comfortable. This is not one of them. This is not just another one of them videos or the group of videos in my course that you'll just passively watch. Like I'm going to have you doing stuff out in the real world. So, you know, you have to have that. You have to be driven. You have to want to learn your craft. You have to have the passion for it. You can't just, and most of all, you can't just do photography for the money. You have to be passionate about this because, like, in the photography industry, you know, it's all about that connection and it's all about expressing yourself creatively. So for me, like, I don't do this for the money. I do this for the love of the game. And I
Mm,
was doing it for the love so much so that I was just doing free work left and right. Out of everything I told you at the time, I was still broke. You know what I'm saying? Live with my mom. I'm still living with my mom still, but I'm working on that. But, you know, it took me a long time to like really change those beliefs around money. You know what I'm saying? And so I didn't feel that I was worthy enough to get paid, even though I had all of this evidence and external validation to get paid for my services, and I'm more than qualified to teach this information and to have paying clients come in the door. It was mainly just like a mental block that I
mm,
had, feeling like I had to pay these invisible dues, even though in reality I've already mastered my skill set to the point to where I can make a sustainable living, but my mindset wasn't right and I didn't feel worthy enough to get paid for my services until
interesting.
now. And so, like, the person you can thank for that is my beautiful fiance, Virginia Francisco, because she really helped me get
Congrats.
more into that business type of mindset. Because then I was just acting from the mindset of the artist, like, ill. I don't want to learn marketing. I don't want to learn sales. Ill. Just basically just being against the business side of video and photography. I just wanted to do it just to express myself. Like I said, I didn't get into it for the money, but I realized if I want to make a sustainable living from my craft and to continue to do what I love and to be able to make the projects I want to make, I have to generate income. So I just had to come face to face with the facts of life and say, you know what? I got to start making money with the skills I already have.
Mm, mm. I like that. And just to kind of like tie into what you just said, with passion and craft, it's a big thing. You know, there's a very artist mentality, but very business side. So people kind of need to understand the two sides and have a mixture rather than leaning on the far right or far left of that because you can turn a craft into a passion and a passion can turn to a craft in a sense where you can monetize something off something you like. So I want to throw in a book recommendation. So basically it's called Be So Good They Can't Ignore You.
Oh,
And
yeah, I
that's
have
a
that book in my
yeah,
library. I
yeah.
have that book in my library already. I haven't read it in a while, but I definitely should like probably go revisit that book in my spare time. But I do have that book, by the way. So thanks for recommending that.
Yeah, so I highly recommend that for everyone watching. It's a really great eye opener in terms of like, forget about passion, focus on the craft, because then it will become a passion, and then just ways where like you can have that working capital and then you can become so desirable that people will
Yeah.
literally pull your arm left and right. Just get no, work with me, no, work with me, and it's just something that you're just so focused on, because you love it so much. You're just so focused on building your craft that things just come your way and things just happen. So
Yeah, and also, I have another book that I'm going to be releasing soon called Confessions of a Divine Masculine. So it's going to be
wow,
spirituality and twin flame type of content. So if you're a divine masculine watching this, you definitely want to pick up your copy of this book, because I'm through writing the book. It's in the process of being proofread and edited so I can deliver a comprehensive guide. Because like I said, I did another search on Amazon, doing my due diligence, doing my research, and I searched up if there was any books about twin flames and divine masculines, and it turns out there's really no books about that. So literally, I decided to start writing a book on that topic, on helping divine masculines overcome their issues, like the one I talked about with money and worthiness. That's one of the points I talk about in my book, in more in depth, of course. But you guys are definitely in for a treat. So for all my peeps in the spiritual community, watch this. Make sure to go pick up my book, Confessions of a Divine Masculine. Not sure when I'm going to drop it, though, because like I said, it's still being proofread and everything, so I can make sure I deliver the best guide possible to help out other divine masculines and even other men in general that want to find themselves and embrace their masculinity and be more in tune with their spiritual nature overall.
wow, I can't wait for that. So I'm gonna have to pick one up too. I'll come support you. So
Yep, and just as usual, it's going to be available on Amazon.
wow. Awesome. So yeah, that wraps things up. So just before we wrap things up, just kind of like, how do we reach you? What's the best way? What's your plugins?
Shit, man, you can reach me everywhere, like Facebook, Evan Youngblood Williams, and both of my Instagram pages. My personal Instagram page is at spiritual_intellect, all lowercase. And then my business Instagram page is at 8 Mill Productions, the number 8, like you see right here, the number 8, and the lowercase MILL Productions together. You know what I'm saying? So, and then you can also follow me on Snapchat at PS4_ is awesome. Don't ask me why. I just created it in high school because I like PlayStation. Then you can also follow my YouTube channels, my business YouTube channel, my filmmaking and video artwork is 8 Mill Productions TV. So it's
Hmm.
still this right here, and then the capital T and V, 8 Mill
Mm,
Productions TV.
right.
And then I have another YouTube channel where I talk about spirituality, which a new video just I dropped today called Female Personality Traits 101 Delta Females is on the channel called Spiritual Intellectual 777. So it's capital S and in the word spiritual, capital I and intellectual, and then the angel number 777. So you can follow me on there. And then also you can follow me on Anchor, the 8 Mill Productions podcast
Oh
as
yeah.
well. So I got a lot of stuff. And definitely, Heather, I will put the links in the comments after we get through going live. I'm putting links to everything, what I'm selling, like my merch, my social media links, and even my digital books. So I have like one digital book out and one paperback version of the fundamentals of filmmaking and videography out that I just dropped today. So if you want to have a physical copy of it, you can go get it at Amazon. So I'm putting links to both the ebook version and the paperback version. So give you options. So you got plenty of options with your boy.
Awesome. But yeah, if it's easier for you guys, just drop a comment. Evan will gladly respond to you as soon as possible, and then you guys can reach each other and then have a conversation with Evan. And if you're thinking about getting into filming, photography, he's the guy. So he's super approachable, super genuine, nice. He'll be glad to help you out and answer any questions you guys have.
All right, man. Thank you for having me on this your show, and you know, and if you don't mind, do you mind if I also like take a clip of this episode and put it on all my other social media platforms?
Definitely. I'll send you the download link as soon as this broadcast ends. So
All right, man. You take care.
thank you, everyone, and thank you, Evan, as well. I really appreciate your time. I really appreciate you, and thank you for sharing your story. Truly means a lot to me and my audience as well, and look forward to connecting and building with you.